Scary movies, everybody. That's what time it is. Last year I did a video, well I did two. I started it all in October where I talked about how I watched 50 whole horror movies. So that's exactly what I have for you today, but instead of 50, it's actually 75. I upped the ante, motherfuckers. In reality, it's because a lot of the movies are ones that I've covered on the channel in my franchise review videos. That would have taken up like around 25 out of the 50, and I didn't want to do that to you. I just thought it'd be nice to get a ranking of all of the movies I've seen, including the ones from the franchises, so you get to see a ranking in terms of general horror. I probably won't talk about those ones as much. If you want to watch the videos on them, you can. Also, I decided to include a couple of awards that I have handpicked throughout this video. It's gonna pop up kind of like a shiny Pokemon, where I'm not gonna mention it or talk about it, but I have 15 awards that I've picked to hand out to movies, and they'll show up on screen when I do it. So there's a little fun little extra bit for you. But we need to start this countdown with the worst film I've seen this year.
What are you guys talking about?
The Fisherman. Every 4th of July, he sharpens up his hook, runs wild.
At number 75, we have I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. And this is released in 2006, so there's that too. If you watched my I Know What You Did Last Summer video, you know that I hated this movie, and I think it's a really, really, really bad movie. It doesn't make sense for the general franchise that it's in. It looks bad. It's hard to watch visually. It does weird glitch stuff. It's hard to watch with your eyeballs if you have them. The characters are all shitty. It's generally just a bad movie, and I don't think that it should have been made, and I would recommend you avoid it at all costs.
A killer is on the loose. He terrorizes this cooking school.
Coming up next, we have PanMan from 2011. You're probably thinking, Ryan, what the hell is PanMan? That's understandable, because what the hell is PanMan? Well, it's a bad movie. It is intentionally bad, but I don't think that it's good even as a bad movie. I did get a few laughs out of this one, so I give it some credit. I really like to get a variety of movies in my rankings, in my videos like these. I wanted to find some obscure movie that probably hardly anyone's ever heard about. So PanMan isn't even really a Pan Man. He's a guy that has a big old pot on his head. So it's a slasher. Ultimately, I do think that the design of PanMan is fine. However, my main complaint, I think that would be cool if it was actually a guy with a pot for a head. Does that distinction make sense to you? Not overhead is head. I don't know, the general plot is that it's a demon actually that possesses a human host, and then that human host will become PanMan. There's a whole romance plot where PanMan human host falls in love with girl, but demon win at the end and kill girl. But then girl sister show up. They use girl sister to kind of trick PanMan. It doesn't really make that much sense, and frankly, it doesn't need to. Like I said, I don't think this is all that well made of a movie, which I get, low budget indie movie. I'm just impressed they made a movie at all. I don't think it's for me. I don't know, there's some laughs to be had here. I think if you are the type of person that enjoys bad movies and that likes to maybe get a little under the influence while watching bad movies, I think this one could be fun for you, but that's not me. It's number 74, you know?
I keep having these visions. I see how the next person's gonna die.
And next up, we have The Final Destination, aka Final Destination 4, from, I forgot what the year is. Oh my god, it's 2009. Wow. Yeah, I hate this one. This is, in my opinion, the worst Final Destination movie by far. I think it's really bad. There are a couple of fun kills. They also have some like creative kills that just aren't well executed. Like there's a guy that gets blasted into like a crisscross metal fence and he gets like bifurcated into chunks. That's cool, but it doesn't look good. The fence is like really thick, so it's just kind of stupid looking. I also don't like the plot of this one. I don't like any of the characters. They're pretty much all annoying. Yeah, just my least favorite Final Destination movie. I don't think you should really watch it, probably.
I've seen this kid almost every day since we've been here.
You're scaring me.
We'll join the club.
Okay, and now we have The Haunting in Connecticut from 2009. So the reason that this movie is so low on my ranking is because after, I've spent some time since watching it, I've come to realize that this is quite possibly the most forgettable movie on this list. Nothing about it sticks out in my brain. I truly don't know what to say about it because there's a lot that I just don't remember because it was so generic, so boring, so forgettable. I don't actually think this is that bad of a movie. Like, it's well made, but it's just kind of boring. And in my brain, boring is a sin. The thing I'll say about it is that it has a young Kyle Gallner. Virginia Madsen is the mother, and I like her a lot. It's kind of a generic, haunted house type of movie. Kyle's character is sick, I think, with cancer. They move to this new house because it's closer to hospitals for his treatment, for his cancer treatment. And I don't really remember anything about the actual hauntings of this, but I know that Kyle's character is in the basement because that's where he wants to live because there's some mental pull on him to stay down there. And then the end of the movie, the house goes up in flames. That's what I remember. You might enjoy it. Like I said, I don't think it's necessarily poorly made. I just don't think it's very exciting or original.
Thrust into a world of supernatural treachery, his only hope that his new partner is as good as she looks.
All right, and now we have Wicked City from 1987. Now this is an anime movie. Yeah, anime, Japanese anime movie. You know the words that I'm saying, and if you don't, what the hell is wrong with you, okay? There's something you need to fix up here and go watch some anime or something. I don't know what to tell ya. I think that this movie is pretty cool. I think that there's a lot of stuff that is kind of a positive going for it, but it's really the negatives that are just so kind of aggressive that drag this movie down further for me. You know the stereotype of like anime being very, pornographic in some sense. Basically, how I would describe this movie is primarily porn with a side of plot. But the problem is that it's sexist and it's aggressive towards women, and I really don't enjoy that portrayal. So I do not like this movie as much as I could have if it were just like gave any amount of decency to the main woman. I'm pretty sure that the main woman gets like raped or sexually several times in this movie, and the whole point of it is so that a man can come in and save the day, and I don't like that aspect of this movie at all. The good parts of the movie is that it has some really cool body horror and really cool designs, and the animation is kind of beautiful, but really, like I said, it's just those bad parts that really drag it down. 1987, it makes sense to me that this movie was made the way that it was made, and I think that it's maybe worth watching if you can set yourself aside from that just to get an idea of like this era from Japanese media. But ultimately, I think you can skip it. And now we have Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan from 1989. Wow, isn't that a mouthful? Wow, we have the first Friday the 13th movie in our overall ranking. This is my least favorite one out of all of the Jason Voorhees movies. I think it does a lot of stupid things. This is my least favorite just because of all of the boy Jason parts when he's a boy. I think that there are fun moments in this movie, movie. I think that being on a boat isn't actually that bad, and ultimately Jason is not actually in Manhattan for like very long at all, so it's a little disappointing. Just kind of a letdown of a movie, honestly. It's not like necessarily that bad, but it's not good either.
I was only 12 years old and I wasn't gonna let Patrick Bateman ruin my life.
All right, it's time to get serious because now we have American Psycho 2 All-American Girl. This one is really, really bad. This is not a good movie. It's not well made. There's not much going for it, frankly, except that it's hilarious. If you need a little pick-me-up, you need a little smile on your face, you need a laugh, American Psycho 2 All-American Girl might be the movie for you. The general plot is that Mila Kunis plays a character who is the All-American Girl, Psycho 2 girl, whatever, and she's trying to get into the FBI. When she was a young girl, her babysitter was killed by the American Psycho, so she killed the American Psycho. Basically, this wasn't going to be an American Psycho movie, and then the studio said, no, let's do that. Then she ends up killing people so she can get into the FBI. She fakes her own identity. She fakes her own death, which I don't think would work on the FBI, but you know, like I said, not a good movie. And also, I have a conspiracy theory. I can't prove it, but I feel it in my bones that the people that made this movie somehow, some way ended up going on to make Dexter, the TV show. I swear to you, the DNA is there. You just have to look. If you just look, you'll know that I'm right and that the fucking people that made this movie also did Dexter. I don't know how, but they did. And they're gonna drag me back to my padded cell, but I needed to let it be known.
Martyrs are so very rare, so extraordinary. They survive the pain, the torture, and they refuse to die.
All right, and now we have Martyrs from 2015. This is a little bit of an interesting one because I watched this not knowing that it was a remake. This one is not very good. It's not that well made. However, I did still enjoy it actually, and me knowing that it's a remake bumps it down because I just want originality, you know? I think what makes it good is the concept, which obviously came from the original. Basically, this young girl escapes something that like tortured her. She grows up in an orphanage with another girl. Her name is Lucy. The other girl's name is Anna. They grow up and Lucy finds the family that tortured and abused her as a child. She kills them in the basement of this house. They are still doing that to other people, and there's another young girl there. There's this other whole plot where Lucy has like visions where she keeps seeing this kind of zombie looking girl type of thing that attacks her. The mystery is that we don't know if it's real or not. It's revealed that it's not, and that it's all in Lucy's head, and that she's actually just harming herself. But Anna deeply cares for Lucy. Eventually the organization behind like the torture comes back because they noticed something was wrong. They put both Anna and Lucy back into captivity, and then they torture Lucy some more. There's this whole thing about martyrdom. I could explain it. I don't need to though, because it doesn't matter that much. I thought it was fine, but ultimately I'm always gonna recommend you watch the original first.
The mere mention of the name Jason Voorhees has been enough to send a shudder of fear through the hearts of an entire nation.
All right, and now we have Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday from 1993. Wow, it's our next Jason Voorhees film. Yes, now we're in the era of just kind of weird rights issues, hence why it's not called Friday the 13th no more. This one I actually think is a fairly decent movie. I think that it's a fun watch. The main problem is that it doesn't really feel like a Jason Voorhees movies or Friday the 13th movie, Jason's barely in this movie as himself. He has a slug Sona, it contains his soul or something, and he transfers bodies, and it's a whole mess. Very weird lore stuff. Apparently Jason had a sister, and the sister has a daughter, and the daughter has a daughter, and Jason needs one of their bodies to get his correct form back. I actually don't hate this one, but it's low on the list because, I mean, come on.
Because these are Jason's woods, and nobody leaves them alive.
And now we have Friday the 13th Part 3 from 1982. So this one is here because I think it's just the most boring Friday the 13th movie. The only thing to note of it, really, for me personally, is that it's when Jason actually acquires the hockey mask. There's very much so that, and that is important, and it's very important to him as a character and the franchise as a whole. But like I said, it's just a very boring movie. There are a couple of cool kills. There's like a handstand machete through the anus. Not great. Wouldn't recommend unless you want to see Jason get his hockey mask.
Those woods belong to something else.
And now we have Pet Sematary from 2019. This is the remake of the original Pet Sematary, but it is also an American remake. The reason this one is so low is because I think it has no soul. It does a couple of things that are interesting in that it twists the original in a way to kind of subvert your expectations. The characters aren't as good or interesting. There's a lot lacking in this one, and like I said, I don't think it's a necessarily terrible movie. I think it's well made, and there are some good things about it, but it's just kind of a soulless remake.
The lucky few survive the disaster, and then one by one, death comes for them all.
Alright, and now we have Final Destination 5 from 2011. This is also pretty low on the list because I don't like Final Destination 4 and 5. I think 5 is slightly better, but frankly, all the gripes that I had about 4 come into play here. I don't like any of the characters. I think that it introduces a really stupid concept, and that concept is, of course, if you kill someone else, you take their life. I think it could be good. I don't think it makes sense in this movie. I don't think they do a good job of making it feel like it would work, if that makes sense at all. The kills are better, the premonition disaster is better, but it's still low on my list.
Freddy versus Jason.
Place your bets.
It's time for Freddy versus Jason from 2003. Man, this is one that I really want to like, but I just don't. I like when Freddy and Jason actually have their little battle and they fight each other, but it's not for me. I don't know, part of why I don't like it is because, again, the characters aren't that compelling to me. Like, Jason Ritter is here as a character. I like Jason Ritter. I know it has Nightmare on Elm Street in it, but it's kind of weirdly and I don't like that about it, and it does really stupid stuff for Jason, like suggest that he's afraid of water. No, that just pissed me off because that's fucking stupid. He drowned as a kid, but ever since then, he's been in the water. He's been next to a lake. He doesn't give a fuck. It's stupid, and I don't like this movie that much. Sorry.
Do you trust Anna? Sometimes I get the feeling she's watching me.
Alright, and now we have one of those movies that has changed their name. It's called Anna from 2013. Now, at some point, I'm pretty sure this movie was also called Mindscape. Generally speaking, if a movie has changed its name, chances are it's not that good. I actually don't think that this is that bad of a movie. I think that this is kind of entertaining, but you know, ultimately it's just kind of mediocre, so it goes down further in my list. But yeah, the basic premise is that they have memory detectives. They are able to kind of go into memories to help solve crimes, but also just to do like psychoanalysis therapy type stuff. There's a girl named Anna, played by the Farmiga sister. What's her name? Thaisa Farmiga. I don't know if that's how you pronounce her name. The one that's in the Nun movies. Little sister of big sister Farmiga, the one that's in the Conjuring movies. I think that the performances are good here. Anna has some issues, and a memory detective is sent to kind of help give her therapy. I don't know, there's hints of her being like a psychopath. There's a whole mystery going on. Basically, he gets tricked by her, and she frames him for murdering her so she can escape her terrible, horrible parents. Like I said, kind of a mediocre movie, but I wouldn't not recommend it, you know?
Have you come into direct contact with the infected?
And now we have 28 Weeks Later from 2007. I don't know, it's kind of a weak entry into the franchise. It's just not that good. It's more generic, more Hollywood, if that makes any sense to you. There are a couple of things that just upset me about this one. Like, I think they're stupid decisions, and I think, like I said, it's ultimately just made more generic and boring, which is not really what the franchise should be. It is what it is. I don't hate it, but I wouldn't want to watch it again. But if you're watching the franchise, I don't think you need to avoid it. You know what I'm saying? Okay, and now we have our first creature film with Anaconda from 2024. What, you thought I was going to talk about the original? No, fuck off. All right, so this is a Chinese kind of remake, reimagining of the Anaconda movie. I thought that it was fun. Listen, I don't actually know the original at all, so I can't really speak on how it holds up to that. From what I've seen from other reviews, people say that it's different enough, that it's entertaining, that it's kind of just as cheesy as the original. You know, take that for what you will. Whenever you have big snake CGI effects, they don't necessarily always look the best. And that is definitely true for this movie. But I think that it's still fun. I really like the characters in this one, actually. It kind of opens with some poacher who's out there looking to kill the, I forget what they call it, red anaconda or something like that. And he's a bad dude. He's like a killer. He kills people. Later on, not much later on, this is the main cast, we get introduced to, I think, circus performers or something of that sort. This guy, new leadership, he's taking them somewhere. They have to go through the jungle, and there's a big anaconda. The plot twist is that he was taking them to be sold on the black market, like he's selling them for their like organs and stuff. But ultimately, I think that there's a lot of fun stuff here. I like pretty much all the characters. I think they're good and entertaining, and I like their interactions between one another. I actually think that some of like the scares, the setup, the tense moments are good. Yeah, I think a decent watch if you're looking for something a little bit different, maybe.
Hey, Tina, isn't this the way they wear their jackets back in the mental hospital?
And now we have Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood from 1988. This is the one with the telekinetic teenager. I think that there are fun moments in this one. I like the telekinetic teenager aspect. I like when she and Jason go head to head a little bit. But at the end of the day, I think that this one is also just kind of boring and doesn't really do anything that interesting. I like a couple of the characters. The rest of them are very forgettable and just there to be there. I think more people like this than I do. I just think it's kind of very mid.
Generation to generation, dead things buried in that land would come back.
And now we have Pet Sematary Bloodlines from 2023. This is kind of more of a sequel to the remake version of Pet Sematary. I think a lot of people don't like this one. I actually really enjoyed a lot of it. I think that all of the characters are fun. The original versions are kind of a little racist leaning toward Native Americans. And so this one, it makes it better. Oh, and by sequel, I mean prequel. It doesn't necessarily make sense as a prequel because certain things don't line up, but I like this more and I think it's a good movie. Sorry, I just do.
What did we do tonight, Judd?
What we did, Lois, was a secret.
And now we have the original Pet Sematary from 1989. I think that this is a pretty decent movie. I'm not gonna lie, I do think that this is a little bit of an average movie. I like a lot of parts of it. I like Judd as a character. I like the just the vibes in this one. Like, it really feels like kind of a more rural Maine real place that would exist. It's just not my favorite horror movie of all time. I don't think it's bad. It's not really a movie I would want to rewatch, but I think I'm glad to have watched it at some point.
Jason? He came back.
And now we have another sequel. It's Friday the 13th from 2009. This is the remake, reboot. Jared Padalecki, he's in this one. I think that this is kind of a fine remake. The main thing I don't like is that it makes Jason a little more generic. Like, he just feels like another kind of horror slasher that you've seen before. He doesn't really have the character and the soul that I want from Jason. I like that he is more aggressive, he's faster, he utilizes more stuff, but at the end of the day, he's a little more generic and I don't like him. As for the characters, I actually think they're mostly fine. It does a little twist at the end that I don't like. I think this is fine. It's okay.
Reputed to conjure up the Prince of Darkness in person. I'm convinced only one is authentic. I want you to get it for me.
You mean the devil won't show up?
And now we have The Ninth Gate from 1999. This is an interesting one. I have other movies in this list that are maybe not necessarily categorized as horror, but this one is. And I think that this is the movie that least feels like a horror movie, but I do like it. The weird thing about this is that Johnny Depp is the main character, and I know that Johnny Depp is, not a great guy as an actor. He's done some of the most iconic shit that I have in my childhood. I appreciate his roles. I don't necessarily appreciate him, if that makes sense. But the weird thing about this movie is that Johnny Depp plays kind of a normal guy. I tend to forget that Johnny Depp can act as just a normal guy. Johnny Depp's character is sent to, basically there's a book, and this book is one of 3 to exist, and supposedly it has a connection to Lucifer, the devil from the Bible. Some rich guy contracts him to seek out the other copies and confirm which one is real, because this guy doesn't necessarily believe that all 3 of the copies are real and genuine. There are people kind of at every turn trying to prevent him from doing this or trying to steal the copy of the book that he is given. It's honestly a very interesting plot. Basically, it ends up turning out to be that all 3 are genuine in some way. Yeah, there are 9 images in each book, and in each book 3 of them are real and genuine, and this entire time there's some girl following Johnny Depp's character around that ends up being, I think, is meant to be the whore from Babylon. Yeah, I think that this is an entertaining movie. It doesn't necessarily feel like a horror movie to me. So if that's what you're looking for, I don't know, probably don't watch this one. But I think that it's a good movie, and I think that it's entertaining, maybe a little slow at points, but overall pretty decent.
You said your vows so perfectly. It takes my breath away. Well, it would if I had any.
And next up, we have another Johnny Depp movie. It's Corpse Bride from 2005. Tim Burton's Corpse Bride, I believe animated by Laika Studios, because goddamn do they do a good job. This is kind of an iconic movie. It's kind of a classic. However, I didn't love it. The reason why I don't love it is because I don't actually think the story is that interesting. The only character I like is the Corpse Bride herself. Obviously, I think all of the designs, the animation and everything is incredible. It's really just the story that doesn't do it for me. It's kind of boring, kind of underwhelming, and I don't like how the Corpse Bride is treated. I think she deserves better, and it's a little sad to me that she doesn't get a better ending. I do like parts of this movie, especially the song, the skeleton bar song or whatever. I think it's fun. I'm glad I've watched it. It's not my favorite though.
Something ripped apart the animals.
All the livestock?
This looks like a bite.
Search the ship.
everywhere.
And now we have Last Voyage of the Demeter from 2023, a vampire flick. I think that this movie was kind of not liked maybe that much, or just kind of seen as more average, not that good. I actually really enjoyed this movie. I think that this is a very fun take on the Dracula story. I also just really appreciate movies that take place on a boat. I really like the main character. His name is Klowns, and he is basically set up to be like kind of a Van Helsing type of character where he survives the whole ordeal. And frankly, I know that this will never happen, but I would love to see a sequel where he goes after Dracula. I would like to see him get his revenge. As for the movie on a whole, I think that it's very fun. I really like seeing Dracula just kind of fuck some people up on a boat, and I really like the crew. I don't think it's like the most spectacular, the most impressive movie. I think it is kind of more fitting in that middle range of ratings, but I still quite enjoyed it, and I would like to see a sequel that I don't think will happen.
I think this belonged to your old tenant. She skipped out of here like Cinderella at midnight.
And now we have Apartment 7A from 2024. This is the Rosemary's Baby prequel that came out kind of recently. So Julia Garner plays Terry. Terry is the girl that dies at the very beginning of Rosemary's Baby, and so we get to see her story. The reason why this one is lower is because after time went on, I realized that this is a little bit forgettable of a movie. Like, there's a lot of creepy stuff that happens in the in-between, but it's not like super memorable to me. I really like Terry as a character. I really like the couple that takes her in. I forget what their names are. And I really like that Terry has a fun story. She's a dancer that got an injury, and so she's unable to dance. I do recommend watching this movie. I think if you like Rosemary's Baby, you'll probably enjoy this. It is properly unsettling and creepy at times. It's just a little bit forgettable.
I just have this feeling everything's totally safe.
Alright, and now we have another creature movie with Lake Placid from 1999. I didn't know that this didn't take place on a lake named Lake Placid. Listen, I know that there isn't a Lake Placid in Maine, but I just kind of assumed that they made a fictional Lake Placid in Maine. But it's not. It's just called the Black Lake. The movie is called Lake Placid because of a one-off line where they mention the fact that the name Lake Placid was already taken. We got a big old crocodile in this one, and I think the crocodile is fun. Unfortunately, there's not enough crocodile action. This kind of feels like a sitcom that just so happens to have a big crocodile, and I don't necessarily love the characters that much. Actually, they just kind of end up being annoying to me. There's the main girl. She's annoying. There's the main guy. He's annoying. There's another guy. He's annoying. There's a fourth guy. He's annoying. Some of it is sometimes fun. There's a character named Hector, and I think that he's the most entertaining character to me. He's kind of the crocodile expert. He perceives them as like godlike beings. There's some homoerotic undertone between Hector and the Sheriff Hank. I would like to see more of that. Also, Betty White is in this movie, and she has a quote that is incredible. Let me read it to you. "If I had a dick, this is where I'd tell you to suck it." And that is a genuine, authentic Betty White quote. I think that there's definitely fun parts to this movie. I want more, and I want the characters to be less annoying.
He kept coming up with some garbage about alligators in the sewer.
Alligators in the sewer?
Okay, and now we go from a crocodile to an alligator. In Alligator from 1980. So I'm going to be real with you folks. I think that Lake Placid would be a lot of people's picks. However, I just like Alligator more. You heard me talk. I didn't have like the biggest, highest opinion of Lake Placid. I still enjoyed it, but you know, it was a little meh for me. Alligator, however, I think I just like kind of in general more. I think that the characters are definitely better. The thing is that Alligator alligator, I don't know, it's a little underwhelming at times, but I feel like you actually see the alligator a little bit more. The idea is that a little girl, she had a pet alligator, and then her parents just randomly flushed it down the drain. It grew up in the sewers, and it ended up getting extra big boy because there's some company doing illegal drug experiments on animals. They're using just animals that they find on the street, like pets, like dogs, and they're doing like a hormone thing, trying to figure out how to make them grow. Whenever they're done with the animals and the animals are dead, they dump them into the sewer to hide their evidence. Then, you know, an alligator comes along, snacks on them, and via the process of hormones being transferred, the alligator gets real big now. And there are some really cheesy shots of the alligator where it's just a close-up of a real gator's eyeball in the water. But ultimately, I actually think that this movie has really good effects. What it does, I'm pretty sure, is that sometimes they have a practical large alligator that they use for certain scenes, which looks pretty good. And then other times, I'm pretty sure they just make a miniature, like, set and use a real alligator to make it look big. Frankly, that's genius, and it looks really good. But yeah, I think this is a good creature movie, and I really like the alligator in it.
You can't run. You can't hide. Get them before they get you.
All right, and now we have the first movie to come out in 2025, and that is I Know What You Did Last Summer from 2025. So, you know, in the wake of all the horror franchises coming back, getting their own requels, their legacy sequels, we get that with I Know What You Did Last Summer. If you watched my video on it, then you know that I thought that it was pretty good in a lot of ways, but the problem really comes at the spoiler at the end. So spoilers, they turn Ray into a killer. You know, the Ray from the original two movies. What the fuck, man? They really ruin Ray's character, and I don't think it works at all, and I hate that twist of the movie, but I liked the rest of the movie, so it's not all the way down at the bottom because it angered me, but it is, you know, it is much lower than it could have been if they just chose not to do that stupid shit.
The symbol is associated with a pagan deity named Bagul. He consumes the souls of human children.
Okay, now it's time to hike up your big boy or big girl or big non-gender conforming person pants, because it's the scariest movie ever made. I guess it's Sinister from 2012. I don't know why people think this is the scariest movie, because I think that this is like scientifically the scariest movie ever made, and I very much disagree with that. In fact, what I think it is that people are just afraid of the dark and bad fathers / husbands. I didn't think Sinister was like necessarily that bad, but I also didn't think it was like great. I thought it was a fine movie with a pretty generic plot, to be honest. Like, it is just one of those movies where the dad / husband is a little stupid and causes a lot of issues for the family. So it's one of those ones. I do think that him finding like the reels of all the other families that were murdered is creepy and very terrifying. I think there's a lot of good things in this movie, but I don't think it deserves the hype that it gets, because frankly, it's just kind of generic. And I think that most horror fans kind of recognize that Sinister is in no way the scariest movie ever made.
Every neighborhood has a house with a secret.
Awesome kite.
And next up, we have a movie that is me cheating. All of these movies that I include in these videos specifically are ones that I've never seen before and I'm watching for the first time. I'm including one that I've seen before, but it's been a very long time, and I made an exception because it's Monster House from 2006. If you're like me, or if you're around my age, I think that you understand that Monster Monster House kind of low-key traumatized a bit of a generation. Monster House is, if you don't know, an animated children's movie, but there's a lot of high-level stuff for children, and it's pretty scary, actually. Obviously, it's not that scary to me anymore, but still, for children, this is nightmare fuel. The whole idea is that there's an old man that lives across the street, and he's constantly chasing children off of his lawn. One day, one of the kids, played by a young Mitchell Musso? Another surprise Mitchell Musso movie added to the list, I guess. He ends up giving the guy like a heart attack or something. He survives though. And then they notice that the house is actually a monster and is maybe eating people. In theory, it actually kills two people because we never see them alive after the events of this movie ends. Also, this movie shows a human skeleton. I think that this is a really good movie. It's still entertaining to this day to my adult brain. I think that it's a good introductory movie, but actually a little bit scarier than you might think. So just have a chat with your child before you show them this movie would be my advice. Also, a little piece of fun trivia, because this is how my brain works. The other child, his name is Chowder, he's played by Sam Lerner, and Sam Lerner is Olivia from Smosh's boyfriend or husband. I don't actually know their relationship status. And Olivia's experience at a restaurant while she was with Sam inspired him to pitch the idea that eventually became the movie Drop, which came out this year, which I will be looking at later in this list.
Mom's dead, Jack.
She doesn't have to be.
Alright, and now we have Pet Sematary 2 from 1992. This is my favorite Pet Sematary movie, and it isn't necessarily a good one, but it's a very entertaining movie. I include it a much higher than it maybe deserves. It has Mr. Krusty Krab himself. Clancy Brown is in it, and he gets to fucking go crazy and do some silly, goofy shit. I just think that there's a lot of really funny moments in this movie. I would absolutely watch this one again over the other Pet Sematary movies, so it's gonna go higher on my list.
What the hell is going on?
Jason Voorhees, that's what's going on. He's an unstoppable killing machine.
Guys, it's okay. He just wanted his machete back.
And now we have another bad movie, but one that I very much enjoy, and that is Jason X from 2001. This is just such a campy movie, and it's just so schlocky that I absolutely adore it. I was laughing almost the entire time during this movie. There's so many weird little bits. I really like Uber Jason, and I think that there's just so much fun to be had here. Jason gets sent into space in the future, and he kills people in space, and there's a hologram that distracts him with two breasted ladies. Either way, it's great, and I love the meta of this movie, and it's very fun.
This is the one you've been screaming for. Friday the 13th, the final chapter.
And now we have another Jason movie with Friday the 13th, the final chapter from 1984. If you're bad with names like I am, the final chapter is the origin of the Tommy Jarvis saga. This is the one where Corey Feldman is Tommy Jarvis and he's just a boy. The reason that this one is lower, despite it being the start of the Tommy Jarvis saga, which I love by the way, is simply because most of this most of this movie is fairly boring and not that exciting. There's a lot of autistic representation, unofficially of course, in this movie. It makes me happy nonetheless because that's my headcanon and it makes me smile. But ultimately, it's kind of just another Friday the 13th movie, but it has Tommy Jarvis and has a fun final end sequence.
This island was the research facility for the original Jurassic Park.
We need DNA from the 3 biggest dinosaurs.
dinosaurs.
Okay, and now it's time for some dinosaurs, because we have Jurassic World Rebirth from 2025, another this year's release. Jurassic World Rebirth let me down in a lot of ways. Well, I don't know if that's the right way to describe it, because I was expecting to be let down. I do not have faith in these movies anymore to deliver us good characters or good, really mostly anything outside of the dinosaur sequences. So I came for the dinosaurs and I stayed for the dinosaurs. You truly have to get to the dinosaur parts to enjoy it. Like the T-Rex raft scene. Oh my god, incredible. One of my favorite segments in a movie to come out recently ever, just because I fucking love that shit. But the rest of the movie kind of sucks balls, bro. And I didn't like the main cast, you know, the ones that's lauded in the trailers. I like the secondary family more, much more.
The night before, at 2:17 in the morning, every kid woke up, got out of bed, walked downstairs, and into the dark.
And wouldn't you know it, we have another movie from 2025, and that is Weapons. So this is going to be a controversial one from me, I'm pretty sure, because I think a lot of people really liked Weapons. I thought it was fine, and I think that there are some fun moments. Basically, you know, children go missing and there's a whole plot around finding the children. There's a whole thing going on in the background, which I'll get to. One of the main things that kind of bothered me about this movie is that we keep switching perspective from character to character. In a perfect world, this works. It's not a perfect world though, and it kind of just disrupts the flow of things. And I think why it doesn't work is because ultimately most of them feel like they have no payoff, like these little segments. You could argue that the payoff is delivered later in later segments, but frankly, if the payoff is delayed and it's not even that great of a payoff, I don't know, I don't think it's worth it. The way that they do it, where they switch back and forth in time, most of the time just doesn't work for me. I also don't particularly care about most of the characters. I don't think they're bad, but I also don't think they're great, you know? I think they're fairly average horror movie characters, and the one thing that I do love about this movie is Aunt Gladys. I saw a lot of talk about her being kind of cemented as a new horror icon. I don't think that's going to happen, mostly because I've already seen a lot of people be forgetting about her, but I do think that she's very fun and very iconic, her whole look and everything. I think not a great movie, but it's pretty fun. You know, I appreciate that it was made. Not my favorite. I think it's still enjoyable though.
After what happened last summer,
We are going to the Bahamas!
nobody deserves a vacation more than Julie James.
All right, and now we have I Still Know What You Did Last Summer from 1998. So this is the sequel, of course, to I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I think that despite it being much cheesier, a little weirder, a little worse for wear, I think that this is kind of one of those movies that's still very fun. I mean, it has Jack Black with locks and is a stoner, so that's pretty fun. I like a decent amount of the characters, I'll say. There's a couple that I don't fuck with at all, and it ultimately does the whole Scream thing where it's like, we have two killers, and I go, yeah, what else is new? At the end of the day, it's a fun sequel that's probably not as good as the original, but still worth watching.
Somewhere in these woods, in this primal, sensuous, secret place, lies an experience too terrifying.
All right, and now we have The Howling from 1981. Now, I think that there are kind of two werewolf movies that are they're kind of cemented in history as being some of the best. One of those is An American Werewolf in London, which I've looked at previously, and this one is the other one. I kind of get it. You know, I can understand why. It's a fine movie, but it's almost entirely boring. Dee Wallace plays the main lead girl, and I think that she does a good job. It's very funny because at one point in this movie, she just kind of has to stand there for like 3+ minutes and watch as they do a werewolf transformation scene. Don't get me wrong, fuck yeah, I do not disapprove of this at all. I just think it's funny that she has to stand there for so long so they can showcase this. It is incredible. It is one of the best transformations I've seen. I also do like the final werewolf's form in this movie. There are multiple werewolves, by the way, and I like how they look. They're bipedal, they're smarter than some of the other werewolves that you will see on screen. But yeah, there's some really good effects work in here. It's a fine movie. It's a horny movie, actually, now that I remember. There's this one part where this guy gets seduced by a werewolf girl and they're having furry sex. It cuts away and there's like this weird animation type thing where they're like both werewolf silhouettes just having sex, and it's very funny. So yeah, this movie is a little bit more horny than you might imagine. Ultimately, I think that this is a movie that you should watch if you like werewolves, but if you're not a huge fan, you can probably skip it.
The people in our family, the ones who are different, their stories are sad. I felt so alone when they died. I don't want that to happen to you, Venus.
And now we have Hauntology from 2024. This is an anthology film, so it's multiple, different stories put together in one, and it's also a wholly queer film. The director, Parker Brennan, is non-binary, so I'm already gonna give it props. I don't think that all of the individual segments are at their peak. Personally, I think that my favorite part of it is the wraparound that connects everything together. There's a lot going on, and they're being haunted by a man in a top hat. The individual segments, there's like a witch segment where they use witchcraft to trans your gender. Hell yeah. That is ultimately my least favorite segment though, because it feels the most disconnected, and for some reason the demon or something, spirit, I don't know, is like a CGI man. I'm pretty sure it looks wrong. And then there's a segment where a girl who died comes back from the grave to find herself another lesbian girlfriend, so also fuck yeah. And then there's a segment where this gay couple is appropriating and imitating her art, pretending that it is her art in order to sell it for a lot of money. She's like possessing people and kind of a slasher type of way, killing people. And then there's another segment where there's like this old haunted house type of deal, and this black woman goes in to interview the residents who stay there, and the residents are both white old women. The reason why I bring up race is because it's relevant. These two white old women are very stuck in tradition, and you can see that this tradition ends up harming the black woman in some way, which is a very good analogy for real life. So I just thought that this movie was very fun. It's not like the best made thing I've ever seen, but it's just so full of soul and heart that I really appreciate it.
Why's my son?
You smell just like your daddy.
Spending time at your house.
Hey guys,
That bitch is crazy.
probably something wrong with me.
And now we have Ma from 2019. I don't like saying just Ma as one word and not having a sentence around it. Yeah, this is the Octavia Spencer movie, and I say that because Octavia Spencer is the primary reason that I enjoy this movie. She's very unsettling, she's very disturbing, I love her character, it's a very fun movie. It all starts with her hooking up some kids with some beverages, and then it transforms into this whole thing where she invites them into her house, and she holds like a party group hangout area for them in the basement of her house, and it's very creepy because an adult doing that is just it gives me the heebies and the jeebies, and it just sets up for her to be a little crazy woman, and it ends up being a very entertaining watch just seeing her be a little crazy woman. Yeah, I mean, I don't have that much to say, frankly, other than it's a very fun watch.
This is between me and Jason. Jason belongs in hell, and I'm gonna see he gets there.
Okay, and now we have Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives from 1986. Now, this is the final movie in the Tommy Jarvis saga. There are 3 movies, so I guess that's a little bit of spoilers on how high the second one ranks. This one is where Jason gets brought back as a zombie. This is the origin of zombie Jason. I really like Tommy Jarvis in this one. The whole cop plot and the girlfriend, well, friend who is a girl, who probably becomes girlfriend maybe, is just very entertaining. I like a lot of this movie for what it does toward the end of things as well. I think that this is one of the more interesting Jason going on a rampage at the camp type of deal situations. I like the finale. I like Tommy Jarvis. That's what it is.
What is that? It's everything. So you have no idea what's on them.
How beautiful is this?
Hell House.
All right, and now we have House LLC from 2015. This is a found footage movie. Well, I guess it is a found footage movie, but it's parts of it are kind of set up more like a faux documentary, as in it would be real, but it's not real. I think that this is a very good one. Basically, a group of people are setting up a haunt house in, I forget what the place is called. Abaddon. I had to dig deep in my supernatural brain for that one. So they're setting up a haunted house in Abaddon in an old abandoned hotel. There's some very good scares here. I think there's some good tense moments and some just cool ideas. Most of the movie is actually them setting it up and just encountering weird things here and there. I like most of the characters, but ultimately it's one of those movies where if any of them had any brains or any smart ideas ever, they probably would have been fine. But yeah, I think that this is a fun found footage horror movie. If you like found footage, I think you'll like this one.
What is that? Oh, hi. What are you doing out in this mess?
Okay, and now we have Friday the 13th from 1980. That's right, it's the original. We don't even really have Jason yet. We see him as a boy at the end, but it's all about Pamela this time. I think that this is just a classic. I don't think it's anything groundbreaking necessarily, but I really appreciate it for what it is. Despite the twist being bad at the end, most of this is fun. It's a pretty tense movie, and I really like once Pamela is revealed to be the killer, and it started a big whole thing, so I appreciate it for that.
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
And now we have I Know What You Did Last Summer from 1997. It's the original. Wow. Ultimately, my thoughts are the cast is absolutely what makes this a special movie. I don't think most of it is really that unique. It's kind of a generic slasher, but the cast is what really brings it home. It's a fun watch. I just don't necessarily think it's like the most exciting special thing ever, and I was a little surprised when they did a reboot of the franchise or a requel.
C'est eux, Anna. T'as pu les voir? Ils ont changé, mais c'est eux.
Okay, and now we have Martyrs from 2008. That's right, it's the original. This is a French film, and I decided after I accidentally watched a remake that I would go and watch the original, and the original is much better. Like I said, I do enjoy the remake for certain reasons, but I do think that this one is quite good. It's a very dark movie, but in an interesting way. This is one that I'm going to be spoiling, so if you don't want spoilers, skip on ahead. The basic premise of this one is the same as the remake. It is Anna and Lucy again, but this one is much darker because Lucy keeps seeing this dead girl and it is attacking her, and once again we see that it is all in her head. Lucy ends up sewer sliding in this one quite early on, actually. The other thing that makes this a little more complicated and interesting is that it is pretty much revealed or confirmed that Anna, she has feelings for Lucy, so that's pretty fun. Kiss girls if you're a girl. Wait, if you If you're a lesbian and you like girls, kiss girls. Cut all of that. Please, for the love of God, cut all of that. What happens is, again, the organization behind everything, where they're trying to martyr young women in order to figure out what happens after you die. And what happens is they take Anna this time and they start torturing her. This is where it gets hard to watch. The final act is mostly just a slow compilation of Anna getting tortured. This is actually like the main thing I don't like about this movie. It feels unnecessarily cruel. Like, I get showing some of the torture, and a lot of it feels like stuff that doesn't need to be shown to get the point across, and it really slows down the pacing in this moment. Well, actually, I should say, before they capture her and start torturing her, she discovers the holding cell in the basement where they are currently holding another woman. Oh my fucking god, dude. Absolutely horrifying. She has like a metal diaper on and a metal like head visor that goes around her eyes so she can't see, and like a strip going around the top, and they're stapled into her head. This part of it, I understand why they have it. It's more just the slow torture later on that I don't love. And then at the end of Anna's kind of torture compilation, they prepare her for the final stage of martyrdom. And what that entails is they literally skin her alive. We don't really see this process, thank God, so that when we see her next, it is all muscles and blood vessels. She doesn't have any skin left, and holy fuck, dude, is this dark. Apparently she sees something. She relates this experience to the person in charge of the organization. This lady who's in charge, because of this newfound knowledge, ends up sewer sliding herself. Left ambiguous, very dark, entertaining watch if you can handle a very dark, not happy ending, upsetting movie.
I feel like something bad is gonna happen to me. It hasn't reached me yet, but it's on its way.
Okay, and now we have Lake Mungo from 2008. Now I watched this one because Mungo, that's me, wow. So Lake Mungo is an Australian film. This is another one of those that is kind of found footage in the sense that it is just played off as a documentary, so it's not actually found footage. Obviously not a real one, but it is a paranormal documentary where this Australian family, a brother, a sister, a father, and a mother, end up losing the sister. I think eventually they do find her body. She drowns at a body of water somewhere. It's not Lake Mungo though, as you might assume it is. I think that this is just a very well done movie because it feels like a real fucking documentary and not a horror movie. That's how good it is at like encompassing that vibe. That being said, it is a little bit slower paced, which is fine because it's a documentary style movie. Maybe not the scariest movie, but the paranormal stuff is interesting. Apparently, theoretically, the girl sewer slided. By the way, I don't like saying that, but YouTube really hates that word, so I censor myself so the video doesn't get tanked to hell. I don't enjoy censoring that because it's something we should talk about, but unfortunately, I have to. And honestly, the darkest part of this movie is, spoiler alert, the neighbors whomst she babysat for, both the adult man and the adult woman, statutory her. It's very disgusting, and the neighbors get away with it. Like, they skip town, and they even say in the movie that if they were captured or arrested, they would likely not even really face any proper charges, which is just fucked on all levels. But then the climax of the movie, again, spoils. At one point on a class field trip, the daughter went to Lake Mungo. She witnessed basically her own dead body. So yeah, it's a very cool movie. I like it, and it's good. All right, and now we have Dumplings from 2004, and this is a Chinese movie. Might I just say, this one's a little crazy. This one's not necessarily crazy in scary territory, but in more, this is horrific, absolutely. So basically, the whole idea is there's this woman who makes dumplings, and the dumplings help give people youth, and the main ingredient in said dumplings is human embryos. Obviously it's fake, but they show her like chopping up some of these embryos, and it's very hard to watch. Then also the mouth ASMR type sounds, the crunchiness of these dumplings is and the main customer is this actress who her husband doesn't like anymore because she's not young enough for him, even though he's already like 10 years older than her. It's this whole very sad story, very sad plot. And then spoilers for the movie, again, obviously I've already gone into some of it, but turns out the woman that's making these dumplings is like 64, but she looks like she's, I don't know, 30. Ultimately, the most like hard to watch part of this is that there's this whole plot where this 13-year-old girl was by her father. The girl wants to get an abortion, so they do that, and it's a 5-month abortion. They use that 5-month abortion. So if any of that sounds upsetting or disturbing to you and something you don't want to watch, yeah, don't watch this one. But if you're kind of interested in all of that, I would recommend it quite a bit. It also has just a lot of fun commentary on like women's rights and the way that women are perceived and their age and all of that sort of thing, and bodily autonomy. And if any of that interests you, I think it's a good recommendation.
Do you live around here? Because I live on aisle 6. That was terrible.
Was kind of terrible.
Okay, and now we have Fresh from 2022, and I am just now realizing that this technically means I have 2 cannibalism movies in a row. So Fresh is a very enjoyable movie. Sebastian Stan plays the bad guy. He kind of preys on women, and then he takes her to his house where he has cells where he locks them up and he keeps them alive while he butchers them for meat, for to sell, and for to eat himself. I think that the main girl does a very good job, played by Daisy Edgar Jones, and I think that this is just a good one, and I really like the ending of this movie. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I don't have a lot to say other than I just really enjoyed it, and I think it's a good movie.
The mindless, murderous fury that was buried with Jason has been reborn.
All right, and now we have Friday the 13th, A New Beginning from 1985. This is the last Harmy Javis saga Friday the 13th movie in my ranking. It may seem a little weird for me to rank this one so high because this is the one that Jason Voorhees is not in. We have a copycat killer in this one. That does bother me, but it's like the only thing that bothers me about this movie because the rest of it is just a very entertaining movie, and I think that it's a good Friday the 13th film despite it not actually being Jason. But if you're able to trick your mind into thinking that it is, then I don't know, maybe you'll enjoy it more. I just think that this is one of the more fun Friday the 13th movies with some of the best characters. It goes high on my ranking.
The ones who got off that roller coaster are still going to die.
Okay, and now we have Final Destination 3 from 2006. Now, ultimately, I know that a lot of people don't necessarily love Final Destination 3, but I think that this is one of the most kind of campy ones in the franchise, which is saying a lot because the whole thing is kind of camp if you think about it. But I really like this one. It does, in fact, help that Mary Elizabeth Winstead is the lead character, but ultimately, I think that this is just a very fun one. I think it's kind of silly, the photograph thing, but it also is very, very funny at times, so I appreciate it. It leads to the hilarious 9/11 scene. Yeah, there's just a lot for me personally to love about this one, just because I have a lot of fun watching it, and it's one of my favorite ones.
So I'm gonna have to ask you a question. Are you a serial killer?
What did you just say?
Okay, and now we have Strange Darling from 2023, and this is a very, very interesting one, but also a very fun one. I don't know if I want to spoil this one too much, because I think this is one that's good to go into kind of blind. There are some ways that it plays with time, and I think that's very evident from the jump. We see a scene that happened earlier, or happened later, earlier on, because they don't want to reveal things too soon. I think that this is playing with time in an entertaining and fun way, as opposed to Weapons, where I didn't necessarily think it was that great. I think that the lead characters are very good, and there's a lot of fun sequences here. Yeah, just know that it's a conflict between a guy and a gal, and I think you might enjoy this one.
Are you okay?
Somebody sent me this.
It's just dumb kids trying to mess with you.
It's weird.
I mean, who do you think it is?
And now we have the aforementioned Drop from 2025. I think that this was a very fun little movie. I got to watch this in a theater by myself, so that was a very fun experience. I don't know, I feel like we don't get movies like this as often anymore. It just felt special, you know, like it's maybe not the best movie ever made, it's maybe not the most exciting, but it has a solid concept and it does it very well, and the performances are great. I really enjoy the tense moments in this movie and just the mystery behind it all. A girl is on a date with a guy and she gets these airdrop messages that eventually tell her, well, it tells her to do a bunch of stuff, but it eventually tells her to kill her own date. She has to try and figure out who is doing this, but also do the other tasks without getting punished for anything. Like if he leaves, she gets punished, aka her child at home will be murdered. It's a lot of fun stuff going on here. I think it's very well acted, and I think the premise is really cool and very tense at times.
I need to know why you sent that letter.
I gotta take a crap.
Okay, and now we have Come to Daddy from 2019. I kind of regret saying it like that. That's my bad. Anyway, this is a very fun movie. Elijah Wood is the son of the daddy in this film, and it's one of those where it kind of relies on the characters and the acting a little bit, and they absolutely deliver on those fronts. And also, it's just kind of like cringe movie, not in a bad way, but in a way where some of the way that these people talk is just like, why are you talking like that? Why'd you say it like that? Where it just kind of makes you uncomfortable. Yeah, that's what happens in this movie, like all the time. Elijah Wood's character has been estranged from his father for like 5 years or something like that. Not 5 years, since he was 5 years old. He gets a message from his daddy to come to a place, so he goes there. A bunch of shenanigans ensue. His father is a weird fella. I believe this is a horror comedy, and the comedy works for me all of the time. I don't think it ever didn't work for me. In that sense, absolutely highly recommend.
Hello! Hello!
Okay, and now we have 28 Days Later from 2002. Yep, that's right, we're finally talking about this one in the list. I don't like how this movie looks. I think it's a very ugly movie. However, I do think that the characters are phenomenal, and the ultimate like story, the pitch, the thesis of this film is very good, and that's why I like it a whole lot. It's more than just a zombie movie. They're not even zombies, it's infection, but you get the point. It's very bleak, actually. I don't know, I think the whole idea of humanity being potentially the worst parts of this world, even including the infected folks, is a good idea.
Why should Friday the 13th, 1981 be any different? Friday the 13th, Part 2.
Okay, and it's time for the final Jason film on this list, and that is Friday the 13th Part 2 from 1981. That's right, this came out just a year after the original, but I do like this one a lot. I think it is the best Friday the 13th film. I think it is the most entertaining, perhaps. Entertaining while being good. The cast of characters is great. The camp vibes are stellar. Like, this is the most at a camp that it it feels like. I don't mean camp as in campy, I mean camp as a place. I really love this version of Jason. He doesn't have the hockey mask yet. He has the bag head. That doesn't really matter to me because his characterization is peak. He's a bumbling idiot sometimes, and I really like that about him because he's just a boy that grew up in the woods and don't know how to do much. So I like it a lot, and it's my favorite Friday film.
You must have 5, maybe 600 bodies down there.
You've got something it likes. One of you.
All right, and now we have Jeepers Creepers from 2001. So before we get started, I must say that I absolutely hate the director of this movie. And in fact, I credit none of this movie's success, none of what it works, how it works, to him at all. For those of you who don't know, he is a and fuck him immensely. I hope you burn in hell. But aside from that, this is a very good movie. I like Jeepers Creepers himself. He is such a cool design, like a vampire type creature, kind of like a Pennywise type of deal where he comes back every so often years. Well, the whole thing is he eats body parts in order to be able to maintain those body parts for himself as he lives. I really like the acting in this movie. Justin Long is pretty young in this one, and I think that he does a great job, and I really like the general plot and progression of this movie. It starts with them being like run off the road by some crazy guy. It's Jeepers Creepers. Then they see him dump a body down a sewer drain pipe type of thing, and Justin Long's character goes down to check it out, and oh my god, the imagery in this one part alone, and the entire walls and ceilings are just covered in like petrified dead bodies, and it's incredible imagery, top notch. And then well, Jeepers Creepers is after them. Yeah, really good dynamics here, especially between Justin Long's character and the girl played by, what's your name, played by Gina Phillips. They are siblings, and their just sibling dynamics are really good, really believable, very entertaining watch. And no, of all the horror characters, Jeepers Creepers is not the one to fight, okay? Not the one.
I know you're not afraid of a little bit of dark. Because you are the dark.
Okay, and now we have Longlegs from 2024. It wouldn't be one of these videos for me if it didn't include a Nicolas Cage movie, and luckily we got that with Longlegs. This was apparently a letdown in the movie theaters. I very much enjoyed it, however. I didn't think that it was a letdown at all. I think it's a fun little mystery type of thing, and I really enjoy Nicolas Cage as Longlegs. I don't know, people seem to be like, well, that's just Nick Cage being Nick Cage, and like maybe, but also you look at the guy and you go, that's not Nick Cage. He's very disturbing. I like the plot. I like the detective girl who's a psychic, but like only 50% of the time or some shit, and she's played, of course, by Micah Monroe. I don't think people liked the turn at the end about it being like weird demon doll possession shit, but frankly, it was already a very weird movie, so when it dove deep into more weird, I was very down. I didn't have any issues with it, and I thought it was fun.
Hi. Hey. She had a date with a chaser.
She had no right rejecting you like that. They should know their place.
Okay, and now we have a movie called T Blockers from 2023, and this is a very trans queer movie, and I fucking love that shit. Let me be clear, let me state this right off the top. This is very noticeably kind of a lower budget movie, maybe not the most experience in filmmaking. However, this is absolutely an important movie in that it's important that it got made, that it tells a trans story, that this queer movie is able to exist in this world, and I just thoroughly loved it. The music is stellar, and also I believe this is an Australian movie. I don't think I mentioned that before. The plot is kind of hard to describe because it's not the most cohesive at times, but I really enjoy the main characters. I love how much it calls out shitheads in the world. There were a couple name drops, i.e. Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro. Thank you for dunking those men in shit like they deserve to be. There's violence going on, and most of that violence is, of course, targeted toward trans folk, queer folk, and so these individuals find it in themselves to start fighting back. Like I said, I don't necessarily think this is the best movie ever made. I don't think it's the most well produced, well made, well put together. However, absolutely incredibly queer and trans film that I'm so happy was made.
More horrifying than Dracula. The Black Avenger. Blacula.
Okay, and now we have Blacula from 1972. Anyway, this is a very fun movie. This is a film that very much so came from the blaxploitation era of filmmaking, and if you don't know what that is, look it up, please. It's always good to educate yourself. But I thoroughly enjoy this movie, and obviously Blacula himself is incredible. I forget what his actual name is. He's cursed with the name Blacula, as is most Dracula vampire movies. Pretty horny. In fact, I'd say one of the main compelling points of this movie to me is how horny it is, because it just really adds so many good vibes, honestly. Like, not in a weird way, just in a good way. Basically, Count Dracula himself is a violent racist, and that's how Blacula ends up being a thing. I just think that that's really kind of a genius take on this story. You know, it's make Dracula a racist because he fucking would be, and then move on from there, and then let us have an incredible character in Blacula. There's a doctor in this movie, and the doctor is absolutely incredible. I love that man. A sexy level way up in this movie. Lots of sexy folks in this movie. It's a very vibe based movie. I think that the ending is maybe not as good as the rest of it, but overall very good movie, holds up very well. Okay, and now we have a German/Austrian movie with Hagazussa from 2017. I don't know if that's actually how you pronounce the name of this movie, but I'm trying my best, alright? This is one of them folk horror movies that is just deeply unsettling in a good way. It makes you feel like there's stuff crawling underneath your skin, because there's just so much weird, terrible stuff going on, and it starts with this little girl and her mother, and her mother gets sick. They're kind of seen as witches because they live outside of like the main village, and her mother ends up dying of the Black Death, the plague, bubonic, whatever the fuck it's called. And then it cuts forward in time to when the daughter, the little child, is now an adult herself, and she has her own wee little baby. Wow, surely nothing bad would happen, right? Basically, very deeply upsetting and disturbing movie. I'm going to talk about spoilers, but before I do that, know that there are major trigger warnings for this movie. I do recommend it, but if there are things that are too disturbing for you, do not watch this movie, okay? But now I'm going to go in the spoilers because I can't not talk about them with this movie. We find out that this girl, this daughter, now grown up, is a bit freaky. She gets a little bit freaky with a goat, but then a lady from the village kind of befriends her, and we see later on that this is bad intentions. This so-called friend of hers helps a guy her. So that is absolutely very hard to watch. There's some added layer to it where it's like this person who she thought was a friend is basically helping do this to her, just makes it even more fucked up. But then she rightfully, and this is where I go, hell yeah, girl boss moment, she ends up giving the entire village the plague. Good, get some revenge, girl, I approve. But then she partakes in some wild mushroom growing in the woods. She has a trip. She participates in infanticide, aka she kills her own infant child, and then she cooks and eats her own child. And then the movie ends with her going up to some hill and spontaneously combusting. I don't know what the meaning of this movie is, but my God, was it an experience? Very dark, but I thought it was a very well-made movie.
In this game, violence is rewarded, so learn to enjoy it.
Get your shit together!
Okay, and now it's time for my next controversial pick, and that is Him from 2025. You may be going, hey Ryan, what the fuck? Why is Him so high up on your list? Because I thought it was a good movie, okay? I really enjoyed this movie. I know that a lot of people didn't like it. I have my theory about that, but I don't want to be rude. I think this movie is mostly about toxic masculinity, how that gets passed down, and the violence that men enact. I can understand how this football horror movie would not work for a lot of people. You catch my drift there? Okay, cool. This is absolutely my type of movie. This is my shit. If it's calling out toxic masculinity and all of that sort of stuff, so naturally, I fucking loved it. I also just think that the performances are great. So Tyreek Withers is the main character, and Tyreek was actually in I Know What You Did Last Summer, also from 2025. So 2 big horror movies of this year. Well, I don't know if they're big, but big in my heart. And then Marlon Wayans is the other guy. Basically, Marlon Wayans plays the GOAT of football, and Tyreek Withers is trying to be the next GOAT of football. Marlon Wayans invites him to his compound and decides to really put him through a boot camp for football. I was a little worried going into this movie because I don't know football at all. Luckily, you don't need to care about football, know about football in order to enjoy this movie, because like I said, it's not really about that anyway. There's honestly hardly any football in this movie. There are little training bits, but none of them are really like playing actual football. The entire time we're in this compound with Tyreek Withers' character, I'm just unsettled, I'm uncomfortable, which means I'm having a great time because that's what I want out of a horror movie. This movie also has some incredible visuals. There's this thing that they do on several occasions where they do like almost what feels like a video game in a positive way, X-ray vision type of thing. Ultimately, like I said, this is a movie about toxic masculinity. Tyreek Withers' character, his father, pushed him into doing this, and you see at the end of the movie, which a lot of people didn't like, that there's a connection there that really proves that this is like a systematic thing. I think some people thought that this like jumped the shark maybe, but in my brain I went, no, this makes sense because we're looking at it like a systematic criticism right here. So I like it. People, I guess, didn't, but I really did.
Ha ocurrido algo inesperado. Puede contagiarse.
All right, and now we have Wreck from 2007. Now, this is a Spanish found footage film, and my God, is this a very good found footage film. I think that this might be one of my favorite found footage horror movies of all time. I really enjoy everything about this movie. I think the setup is really enjoyable. There is this reporter lady named Angela Vidal, and she's really good, and she has a cameraman following her around. She's basically following around this firefighting crew at nighttime. They end up going to a apartment building. They got a call for some old lady, and then they get locked into this apartment building by there's a threat of bioterrorism basically happening, and so the entire apartment building is under lockdown. The individual residents are basically stuck in this building as a rabies-like type of infection spreads. It's very good, incredible scares. I love the camera work and just everything about it. Very enjoyable movie, great found footage.
Maintain a speed of 3 miles per hour. Walk until there's only one of you left. Who's ready to fucking win?
All right, and now we have The Long Walk from 2025, and this is a Stephen King story adaptation. This is a very good movie. Again, it's one of those that isn't necessarily scary, but it is horrific. The concept, the idea of it is horrific. Basically, the whole premise is it's America where the country has gone to shit, and this is a very poignant movie, by the way. Economically, the country's in a crisis. Every everyone's not doing well, and then men can sign up for a lottery to get drafted in the long walk. If they get selected to go on the long walk, then I think there's like 50 contestants, and they have to keep walking. They have to keep the pace above like 3 miles an hour, and whoever is left standing at the end is winner, and they get like a shit ton of money and also one wish. It's a disturbing dystopian type of film with incredible character work, and just, my god, the performances are really good overall. Like, the entire cast does a great job. Very hard to watch stuff at moments. Like, they didn't shy away from the gore, which is a good thing. I think it makes things extra disturbing and kind of makes you feel for the characters in this movie. Really, there isn't that much to talk about because it's just walking, but my god, is it entertaining and captivating throughout.
I have come here from the mainland to investigate the disappearance of a young girl, Rowan Morrison.
Okay, and now we have The Wicker Man from 1973. This is kind of like the folk horror movie that I can think of. So this is I don't know if it's a Scottish movie. It takes place on a fictional Scottish island. It's at least a UK film. This is just a very enjoyable movie. There's a detective basically from the main island that gets sent here because they got note of a missing girl. And so he shows up and he starts looking for the little girl, and things are definitely weird around this island. Basically, the residents of the island are hiding things from him and lying to him about certain things. Ultimately, what I will say I think is the most interesting part about this movie to me, it's really a conflict, so to speak, between paganism and Christianity. The interesting thing about it to me is that I don't necessarily think either is pitted as the good one. I will say it does feel like the intention was maybe to kind of make people afraid of paganism. And paganism is a very broad definition. It has a great history. For a long time, paganism was just kind of used in a kind of more derogatory way to describe anything that wasn't Christian. I don't know. It's very much a unique movie because I really just like looking at this sort of historical encapsulation of the concept and discussion around paganism and Christianity. So I really thought that was interesting and intriguing, and like I said, the plot's great, and I like the characters and the acting a lot.
The Myers! No!
Okay, and now we have the oldest movie on this list, and that is The Creature from the Black Lagoon from 1954. So what I will say right off the bat is that this is a black and white movie from the 50s, so it's not always going to be the most like exciting, thrilling movie, so to speak. However, what I will say is that it is fucking incredible. I absolutely love the creature, the Gill Man as he's known. The Gill Man is a very fun design. I think the reason that kind of makes me bump this movie up higher over some of the others is just the incredible groundbreaking footage that they get. There's a lot of underwater photography here, and it's done really well and really in just a captivating way. Like, I look at it and I go, oh my God, it's incredible how they did this. The thing is, the characters are enjoyable too, and also like the Gill Man is sympathetic because he's just a lonely Gill Man that falls for an attractive woman. Can you really blame a guy? Anyway, I also just have an affinity for fishmen. Either way, I like all of the characters. I think this is an entertaining movie. And also, fun fact, well, I guess it's maybe not fun anymore, but one of the portrayers of the Gill Man, Rico Browning, he portrayed the Gill Man in all of the underwater sequences, and he is or was the last surviving actor to have portrayed a Universal classic monster. He recently passed away, so rest in peace. He seemed like a really cool guy. Just incredible movie. Highly recommend if you want to look into some more classics.
They want to play games? They're messing with the wrong guy.
Killer Klowns from Outer Space.
All right, and now we have Killer Klowns from Outer Space from 1988. I mean, it's the Killer Klowns. Am I right or am I right? Now listen, I don't think that this is like the best movie ever made, but it's just so special. This is a movie that very easily could have spawned off like 50 sequels, but somehow it didn't. I love everything about this movie. It's very campy, it's very funny at times. The clowns are incredible. The practical effects are top notch. It does a really good job, and I like the concept of these killer clowns who are aliens coming from a spaceship from somewhere, landing on Earth, putting a bunch of people in cotton candy to eat, and then I don't know, and then people have to fight back. If you're gonna watch a horror movie in October for Halloween, please watch Killer Clowns if you haven't. I feel like this is a quintessential pick for Halloween, for October. It's just one that you have to watch at some point in your life.
There are many kinds of death. Some are better than others.
All right, and now we have 28 years later from 2025. Again, this is a bit of a controversial pick, but I loved this movie. It has a very sentimental meaning to me, more in that I can relate to a lot of the moments in this movie. I think that it's a very fun movie that has different acts that make a lot of sense to me. Again, this is one of those movies that kind of critiques toxic masculinity in the way that parents kind of push that down onto their children. Just a very good movie. The most beautiful looking of the 28 blank later franchise, and I very much look forward to the sequel.
The lambs have passed through the gate. They are come to the killing floor.
Okay, and now we have Cabin in the Woods from 2011. Oh my god, I didn't think I would like this as much as I did. This is a very meta horror comedy movie, plays with the tropes and everything. It's one of the more fun ones I've watched this year. It was a highlight, which I wasn't expecting. I thought it was going to be good, but I didn't know I was going to love it as much as I did. I just love horror as a genre, so I recognize all of these tropes and all of these things that they're playing on. For those unaware, the idea is that this group of college-age students are selected to be part of this greater thing. They are being put in an experiment, basically. They don't know this is happening. This organization behind closed doors pulls a bunch of strings to make them have all the horror tropes, and they have to get killed off and sacrificed in order to appease the elder gods or whatever the fuck it is. I like all the characters. They're funny. My favorite is, of course, the stoner guy, because duh. Just a great movie. I didn't think I would like it as much, but if you're a horror fan, I think that you'll really appreciate this one.
I saved a lot of lives that night.
Everyone needs to get off the dance floor!
Lives that were never meant to be saved. But Death doesn't like it when you mess with his plans.
Okay, and now we have Final Destination Bloodlines from 2025. Again, a movie I've already talked about, but it is a very good entry into the franchise. For some people, it's their favorite. Mine is not quite, but it is very high up there. Very fun kills, very fun moments going on. I like pitting this death thing, this death curse against a family, and we get to see a beautiful, really loving send-off for Tony Todd, and it's very heartfelt for me for that reason, and I love this movie.
Hey, let's make love.
Okay, and now we have Rosemary's Baby from 1968, and once again, I have to unfortunately say fuck the director. I hope he burns in hell when he dies, and I also give no credit to him whatsoever. The director is once again a child rapist. And frankly, it's very ironic that the director is the scum of the earth that he is, because this movie is very much so about women's autonomy and the fact that like men just keep taking that away from her. I mean, her name is Rosemary. It is a classic for a reason. It is well known for a reason. Obviously, the theming is incredible. It's this girl, Rosemary, she gets pregnant, and then her entire life is being controlled because her baby is the son of Lucifer. There's one scene in particular that I think really sticks out in my brain to me that I think is very important. Her husband has sex with her while she's under the influence, and that is not okay. Well, we also learn that it's not even her husband, it's Lucifer himself. At some point he says something like, "It's not like I to you or anything. But he fucking did! That's the definition of it. Not okay. Don't do that. Go fuck yourself if you approve of that. It's a truly horrifying moment in the movie. But yeah, absolutely incredible movie. Love the performances. I love Minnie Castevet played by Ruth Gordon. Just top notch. Important movie, I think. But fuck the director.
What is it?
I just wanted to talk to you about some of the things that have been happening here lately.
It's useless to try and explain it to you. You wouldn't understand.
Okay, and now we have Suspiria from 1977, another classic. That's right, we're getting some of these out of the way right now. And by out of the way, I mean we're praising them. So this is an Italian movie. The lead is an American actress. A lot of movies in Italy during this kind of time frame were made in such a way where it was a collection of actors from different languages. And so depending on where this movie was released, they would just dub over everything. There are times where it is actually them speaking English, like the main actress there. She is mostly speaking English and it is her actual lines, not dubbed over. This movie is kind of just a vibe movie. It is a horrifying movie. There are very cool moments. The colors and the set design and everything that just went into this is just beautiful, stunning, gorgeous. There's a little bug flying in front of my face. So yeah, if you haven't seen Suspiria, I do recommend it. It is a little jarring if you're not used to that type of dubbing over things, but I think that it's a very fun vibe-based horror movie. It has an interesting plot too, but it's maybe a little confusing at times, you know?
So what do you do?
I'm into murders and executions mostly. I have to kill a lot of people!
And next up we have American Psycho from 2000. And okay, can you tell I have a thing that I like? Yeah, that's right. It's weird toxic masculinity and systemic based male superiority. Like, that is the type of stuff that I want to see critiqued all the fucking time. So this is unfortunately one of those movies where Patrick Bateman has kind of been adopted in some senses by film bros and businessmen, where they think that he's a good, cool character. No, the whole point is that you're supposed to fucking hate Patrick Bateman. He is very much a critique of this system, of this type of man. And it is a very, very satirical movie, and I love satirical movies like this. I just think it's very well done. The performances are incredible. Christian Bale does an incredible job portraying Patrick Bateman. This is just a movie that I very much enjoy and love, and it is the type of movie that I wish people had a little bit more media literacy for sometimes, because you're not supposed to root for him.
Have you ever dreamt of a better version of yourself? More beautiful, more perfect. This is The Substance.
I'm Sue.
Okay, and now we have The Substance from 2024. Oh my god, we got body horror up in here. This is another beautiful movie. It doesn't land all of its aspects for me, but I absolutely think it deserves all of the praise that it has been given. I mean, the performances are incredible. Demi Moore, oh my god. I mean, hats off to you, girl. It's just a really interesting movie it's so stylized in a way that makes you fall in love with it. And I just love the idea that this movie is centered around, which is that women, as they age, are kind of shunned out of society because they're no longer beautiful. But yeah, it's stunning. And Margaret Qualley does a good job too. If you like body horror, if you like weird stuff, if you like message theme-based movies, this is a great one to watch.
I've been at a sleepaway camp for almost 3 weeks, and I'm getting very scared.
Sleepaway Camp. You won't be coming home.
Okay, and now we have Sleepaway Camp from 1983. So Sleepaway Camp probably should not be number 4 on my list, but it is because I love this movie. It's just a very fun one. It's one of the most campy movies I've seen. Very funny, just all around. So many good laughs to be had here. This is one of my favorite movies that I watched because it was just, I had a smile on my face the whole time practically. So the main girl is named Angela, played by Felissa Rose. When she was younger, her and her brother were killed in a boating accident. Now her aunt takes care of her. She has a new brother, but really it's cousin, right? And they are both going to a sleepaway camp. People keep picking on Angela because she is quiet. She doesn't really talk. There's this other boy who kind of gains an interest in her, and there's some romantic little things going on. The end of this movie, it is revealed that Angela is actually the brother that lived in the boating accident. It was actually the sister that died, but Angela is trans. Fuck yeah. Ultimately, it is the aunt that forced Angela basically to become a girl. However, I ignore that because I get to read this under my own queer lens and take this as a fun trans movie. The end of the movie is revealed that Angela is the killer. I still get to say, no, Angela is a trans icon and she's killing people because they're all bigots. This movie, I think, is one of those where it's like trans fear kind of happening, queer fear, but all of the people that die are genuinely bigots. They're all homophobic in some way, or they're bullying her. It's kind of weird to not go, this is pro-trans, because all of the bad people die. So in my brain, I adopt this as a pro-trans movie, even though that's probably not the original intent. But please watch this movie. I just love it so much. All right, and now we have Alien from 1979. It's Alien. I don't need to talk much about this one because it's Alien. The xenomorphs are absolutely iconic and incredible. And of course, Sigourney Weaver is just one of the horror queens of all time. This movie is really good. I think it's a little boring at times, but absolutely the vibes, the sci-fi aspects of this movie are top notch. Like, it's not my favorite horror movie of all time, but it's absolutely incredible sci-fi, and so much about this movie is very incredibly influential and absolutely deserves the number 3 spot.
Sky, pull it together and get back out there.
No, I will not let this thing use me.
Okay, and this shouldn't be a shock if you watched my previous ones of these videos. We have Smile 2 from 2024. When I watched it originally, I kind of thought that it was tied with Smile because I loved Smile, but actually I'm going to say that Smile 2 has surpassed Smile in my brain, and I absolutely love this one as well. So Naomi Scott plays a pop star named Sky Riley. She is a pop star that has kind of fallen out of grace. There was a drunk driving incident that led to her partner dying in a car crash when she lived. So she has a bunch of trauma. But hey, now we get to also see the Smile Demon return and fuck with her and her life. So yip yip hooray! Absolutely really fun psychological horror. I just love the Smile franchise because the first one was very much about like childhood trauma and parental trauma being passed down and very individual depression based type of metaphor. This one is, what if we pit that against someone with a large following? What if we look at how a large following messes with someone's brain and how this type of fame and popularity fucks with someone? It's a very interesting movie, and I love that they were able to flip it in some way and make it interesting. Such a fun watch, and it is my number 2 pick.
Will somebody take me in your eyes?
But it also can pierce the veil between life and death.
And then at number 1, we have Sinners from 2025. Probably not much of a shock to people. It's fucking Sinners. It's an incredible movie. Yeah, what can I say about this movie that hasn't already been said? Not much, I don't think. We're getting like a pseudo period piece here with also just vampires at play. I love the theming. I love everything about it and what it has to say about racism and all of these different things that are at play. It's very hard and very rare that I rate a movie 5 stars. This one I did give 5 stars. I have 2 categories for 5-star movies. One is that everything about it is perfect and I love it so much. The second one is maybe not all parts of the movie are perfect, but there's one bit of it that is so fucking incredible that if you have like these kind of more high but not quite 5-star ratings, and then you have one that's like 10 stars all the way up here, it brings that average line up to 5 stars. And that is what Sinners is. Once we got to that music scene, that music segment, well fuck, I was just done, man. I knew right then and there that this was a 5-star movie. I love getting to look at this just beautiful showcase of film. It's just incredible, and I love Sinners very much. Very worthy of the number 1 spot. But anyway, that's the end of the video. What did you guys think? Are there any movies you haven't seen on this list that you're maybe gonna go ahead and give a try now? Or are there movies that I should look into in the future? And also, what were your favorites on this list? Maybe I rated one that you love a little bit lower, and I apologize, but this is all my opinion. I've been recording for 3 hours, so fuck. Anyway, I hope you're having a fantastic day. I hope you're having a wonderful Halloween, spooky month, October time. I hope that this video maybe gave you some inspiration for some movies to watch, because I think everyone should be enjoying horror right now. Yeah, I'm not afraid to say it. Thanks for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.